Well, hi everyone, and welcome to this, our webinar on the benefits of a document subscription. I'm Aaron Dunn and joined by David Devine, who is our Sales and Development Manager. G'day, David. How are you?
Well, thank you, Aaron, and ignore my name at the top, which is your name, so that's fine.
Very good. Well, today what we're going to do is naturally talk through the benefits of a document subscription. But before we kick things off there, I think it's important that we set the scene about why SMSF documents are growing in importance. And part of that is naturally because of what I see as the ever-growing number of events and complexities that we have with our clients. We're seeing on one end of the scale, individuals setting up self-managed super funds at an age younger than they ever have before, naturally because of the compulsory superannuation that for those new entrants, they've had arguably for their entire lifetime. But at the other end of the spectrum, we're seeing SMSF members in their 80s and 90s, even maybe older. And that in itself poses challenges when we think about incapacity, death of the member, the ongoing operation of their pensions, the implications of transfer balance caps, the potential implications of Division 296, so on and so forth. And what this does is it builds this mountain of events that we need to contemplate. And with those events, we therefore need to ensure that we have a much greater focus on the documentation and the events that are occurring because of that heightened level of expectation around audit. And we know that that has certainly been the case when we think of investment strategies, also in respect to market valuation requirements in more recent times, and then legal challenges, which comes back to the way in which we are making changes to, say, our deeds, or the way in which our binding death benefit nominations have ultimately been structured. And therefore, because a lot of these things are starting to come on board more and more regularly, there has been this historical gap in the provision of these sort of documents being available. And yes, it has historically been in the compliance document sense, but certainly is the case also when it comes to a range of legal documents and the way in which income streams and so forth are being dealt with as well. So the natural fallback then in a lot of instances has been on the software providers. Can they actually provide these documents? Do I get them as part of my subscription? Or do we go to a lawyer and we then have to pay, obviously, legal rates in respect to the preparation of those specific documents that relate to those specific events? And the problem, though, when we look at our software is that there is little or no alignment to the fund's governing rules. So is the left hand talking to the right hand so that we don't end up in some of those circumstances that I mentioned above, where we look at things like legal challenge? And the other part to this is, well, you might say, well, look, we can't get this through our software, but we have the necessary skills within our organization to be able to create different templates to help us. And that may have been the case, again, with investment strategies. It may be the case with pension documents where there's been good intentions ultimately to align to the trust deed that you may be using as a supplier. And this then isn't necessarily the technical competency that sits behind the individual or individuals involved in that process, but more importantly, is it the most efficient use of time? And can we actually recover against applying this approach to those particular documents and maintaining the currency of those as well? And this is why we see a growing number of firms looking to utilize a document provider such as Smarter SMSF and then try and understand, well, how does a subscription actually fit into this to help manage the SMSF clients' legal and regulatory responsibilities? And I guess what we now want to evolve this conversation into is what we actually see when it comes to people onboarding as a Smarter SMSF document subscriber. Because ultimately, what we see here, and we will cover in some depth in today's session for you, is two clear paths or journeys that people go on to subscribe. So one is they either have a specific need. So they come in and they go, we want to go and look at doing a particular document or documents. And we are simply looking at the provider, the reputation, the efficiencies that we can get, and how scalable that becomes to allow us to get that particular task done. The other part of the journey is where there's a far more proactive approach that we work with our users of the platform to start to help them understand where the benefits of switching from a pay-as-you-go basis into a membership model actually works. And David's going to spend some time shortly helping to explain many of those real-life case studies that we see with different members that have come on board in the past 12, 18, 24 months around these two particular journeys. So David, I'm going to flick across to you here with this first journey, and that is looking at a specific need that people have within their organization. What we see here is circumstances where people come to us with a specific need. So they say, I have a particular project that I want to be able to complete with my clients. I know that I need to go through and do deed upgrades. It's probably the most common one we see. We also saw that process of updates in respect to investment strategies not that long ago. But the inquiry happens there. And as we touched on just before, there is really a process that we see people go through. So there's a due diligence element. So are we comfortable in terms of the provider, what they do, what their knowledge is, how well that they keep the documents up to date, what their professional standing is, I guess, within the industry. And there's an opportunity for you to go and actually look at the documents themselves and potentially go through the user experience yourself as well, in particular where you might have integrations that you're looking to utilize as well, whether it be Class or BGL or SuperMate. And then once you start to identify the quality of the documents and what you might be needing there and comparing that with providers, it's then trying to look at the economics. So what does it actually look like for me with a subscription? And how many funds do I actually have that will be impacted by this potential work that needs to be done? So once you've gone through that identification phase, it's then going through the process. Well, is this the solution that's right for me? So you'll explore the platform and how the integrations work, like I said, and then you're going to go through and undertake that cost benefit analysis. And finally, once you're happy with all that, again, we would provide the opportunity for you to consider a trial and go through, put a couple of documents through, for example, and go, well, actually, this is exactly what we actually need. And then on the basis that you do decide to proceed, then it is a real onboarding process to get you underway in respect to how the integrations work with the team, the rollout of the support that you need, maybe the multiple staff and users that would require access to the platform, getting onboarding feedback to us, and making sure that we've got the tools there ready for you to enable to do what you need to do. So as I said, what we do see in this specific needs is there are a range of more common documents in this area. So deed upgrades is probably, as I said, our most popular one. We do commonly talk to firms about the fact that if you're doing deed upgrades, you would naturally be looking at constitution upgrades at the same time. In many instances, we want to be ensuring that our constitution works hand in glove with the deed around decision-making that is going to happen. Now, what we have in respect to the deed upgrades and also with our death benefit nominations is we now have the ability for you to obtain legal sign-off. So our Smarter Legal Review allows you to tie in if you want that legal sign-off in respect to the deed upgrades. You can request for that to occur, and it gives you the assurity that the upgrade has been done and done correctly. And in some circumstances, you may need to go back and remedy the trail of what has happened previously because of the fact that there may have been a defect along the way. And then the other ones here, investment strategies, pensions, these are where there might be that shift, having moved from what was being done internally to now looking to utilize this within a platform such as Smarter SMSF. Alternatively, some of those could have been done within your SMSF software, Class or BGL or SuperMate, and there is a lack of information that's really provided in there. I know a lot of times auditors have pushed back on investment strategy documents that have been generated from the software providers. And again, the lack of detail and therefore linkage to the deed with pension documents, we've also seen that shift start to occur. So from that point of view, when we look at the economics ultimately of a subscription, here's a common example that we see as we work through this first journey. So we have our client here, Jackie, wants to upgrade all of her clients' SMSF deeds to the Smarter SMSF deed. Okay, so she's not a Smarter SMSF client already, and she's going to go through and do that bulk deed upgrade. She currently has about 80 SMSFs, all with corporate trustees. Now, this is going to require her about 160 documents to be generated for this particular task to be done. And if she does it on a pay-as-you-go basis, there's 160 documents at a $220 fee per document to do that. So there's about $35,000 worth of fees in respect to the preparation of those. Now, the alternative here is that we move to a subscription package, and our Create 250 is at $850 a month or $8,500 per annum. So what she's doing is she's substantially reduced her average cost per document. And in addition here, will she not only have undertaken that task, but she's going to have the 90 documents available throughout the year. So this, when you look at a comparison with the PAYG versus subscription, she would need to only complete about 38 documents on a pay-as-you-go basis to be doing what she would be doing with the Create 250 here, and therefore opens up the opportunity to do so many other documents there. Now, one of the traps we commonly see with people is that they get very much caught on the, well, I'm not going to use 250 documents here. And that is I guess is a misnomer around the way the subscription works. Because as we said there, Jackie would have 90 documents available left to her to use. And the fact that she doesn't use those in a year is not going to mean that she's going to lose out. In fact, she's going to be miles ahead, even if she only uses the 160 out of the 250, simply because we are moving the needle from being $35,000 down to $8,500 to get that particular task done. So yes, if she used 250 documents exactly, then the average cost has been substantially reduced from $220 down to $34. But even if the average cost moves up to $50 or $60 or whatever it is based upon 160 orders, she's still going to be substantially ahead. And therefore, the 90 documents that weren't used become somewhat irrelevant to the conversation. So they don't ordinarily roll over year on year. The expectation is that you would use the quota that you have there. So therefore, again, think about the benefits of what the subscription does ordinarily, as opposed to in the situation of, well, we have to use the 90, therefore we're not going to get the benefit from it. And this page shows you the example of the nuances of people trying to get it right as an exact science. So on our left-hand side, we've got our PAYG. So we pay $35.2. On the right-hand side, we have our subscription and we have the available documents left to it. But if we tried to make it an exact science, you can see here, well, we might do a 100 pack. Now that 100 pack is around $6,000. Then we do another 60 here. That would be $13,200. So we're $9,000 more than simply having that larger package. Or we decided to add another 50 pack, and then we PAYG'd an extra 10. And again, you're at $11,560. So you're a couple of $1,000s higher than what you would have otherwise been with the Create 250. Noting that you still have all those documents available for the rest of the year to enable you to access these as and when you may want to. That you can use them for new funds you set up, for companies you might want to incorporate, for LRBAs, things that might come across your desk that you might not otherwise have thought or actually planned about. So really important piece to this journey where we do see, I guess, a little bit of resistance in that regard. They're like, well, I'm not going to use the 90. So what I would say to you is that it's not about the extra 90, whether you use it or not. It's actually bringing it back to, well, if we don't use them, what does our average cost actually look like? And in this instance, you're going to be miles ahead of what that PAYG story would have actually looked like. So on the other side here, it comes to the self-preparer. So this is where, again, it's an analysis of the expertise that we have within our organization and how much time that individual or individuals are spending keeping the currency of this information. And we talk about this regularly with a lot of firms that maybe mid-tier administrators that have a far greater diversity of SMSF things that need to be done within the practice. And one of the things that we commonly talk to them about is, well, what's it actually cost you to do this? And they're like, well, yeah, but we just get it done, and it's done because we need to do it. But once you start to break down these elements, it becomes a very interesting exercise. And these are the 5 areas that we've identified amongst those self-preparers. So first is knowledge and research. So what time is involved in researching, understanding the law, the impact of any ATO guidance, rulings, relationships to the deed, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a time cost that we can attach to that. We then have to move knowledge into the build. And the build here is applying that research to develop the precedent template or templates for the various combinations. 2 individual trustees, to 2 as a corporate trustee, to 6 directors, to 6 individual trustees, to 2 individual trustees with 1 member. There are 13 odd combinations that we need to ensure that we've covered off on there, that then each will take time and have their own nuances in the document templates. Once we've worked out that build, well, then it's saying, well, how are we actually going to prepare this? So are we going to scale this up within our organization somehow with technology, with some sort of word processing where we can mail merge, whatever it is, but there will be a level of scalability, cost, and time, arguably, to that approach as well. And then we actually need to get those documents prepared, and not only prepared because that might be prepared by a particular person, but then reviewed by the relevant parties that would be reviewing that before it goes to the client to be signed. And then finally, we have our review and maintenance. So time that would take to research and ensure that we've got the ongoing compliance with any changes in the relevant laws as well. So let's have a look at this example here, where we worked with a client around the fact that we have a partner with an accounting firm. They're responsible for the superannuation area, and they have about 100 SMSF clients. Now, one of the things that they wanted to do was to upgrade all of their SMSF investment strategies. And they said, well, we either go about doing it ourselves and building that relevant template, or do we actually go about doing this using someone like Smarter SMSF? So we have here, in essence, James has a charge rate for his time. We had the managers that sat underneath James and they had their rates. So ultimately, the work is being confined to the 2 of those different individuals. And when we started to cost this out, you could see that it took about 12 hours worth of time, knowledge, and research multiplied by the charge rate. So I've looked at this not in their wage costs, but the opportunity cost to be able to charge the client. Okay, so $3,600 of time there. We then need to build the templates, in essence, from scratch. That would take about 30 hours worth of time. We didn't really go into what technology, because part of that decision-making process was, well, are we just better using the platform that Smarter SMSF has, for example? And then what we said is, well, you've now got to do this for 100 clients. So it might have been done by a graduate or some other person within the organization. So we just applied a multiple of that at 150 per fund. So an hour's worth of work. And then there's an ongoing maintenance requirement there. So that quickly equated to nearly $30,000. So from a break-even point of view, it requires the client to be charged $300 for the investment strategy using their own templates. So if we looked, however, at a Smarter SMSF subscription, that changes substantially because you've got your subscription costs there. And then what you're doing is you're saying, well, look, we're going to spend some time being happy with what's being produced there, but then we have our preparation time per client. But because we've got the integrations with our BGL or class or SuperMate, and we can prepare that, the time frame is going to be significantly reduced. So therefore, we're now looking at $11,000 or $12,000 versus $29,000 there. And we're turning something into, even if we continue to charge $300 for that investment strategy, we've now turned something that was break even into actually creating $180 per profit per fund, or $18,000 worth of profit in that particular project. Now, again, you can, subject to the different documents, there is an overlay of legal support that could come with that. And when we produce these documents ourselves, we're not only spending the time looking at the law, but we're also utilizing both the legal support that we have within our business with Hill Legal, but our peer community, our members who are specialists in their own right, and getting that feedback from them. What do you like? What don't you like? And how can we produce a document that we know is not only up to date, but is most importantly best practice or best of breed when it comes to what is available in the industry today as well. So some questions for you here is, how often is this actually occurring inside my practice over a financial year? So is there ongoing maintenance required? How many templates are we using that we might need to be looking at on an ongoing management perspective? Are they aligned to the deed, or do we need to spend time to actually address that on an ongoing basis? And how much time are we actually spending on R&D in essence to facilitate this ourselves? And how much time does it take within the firm to complete all of these particular tasks as well? And ultimately it says, is there a better way of us doing it? So can we get time back to better resource our business and focus on the forward-looking things with our clients and the advice that they might need, rather than having to look inwardly and fix and prepare all these particular document templates that we might need ourselves? And we regularly and naturally update a range of documents. One of the ones, I guess, over the last 12 to 18 months we spent time on was the rollovers and rollouts. So there is a whole raft of additional requirements now under SuperStream. So it's the research, the time, the building of these templates, the fact that it needs the integrations, all the development time that comes with it. So we know how much time it actually takes you. And then what this does is allows you to plug into the expertise that we have and do this in a much more simplified approach, using not only that document, but a broad range of documents that we have on the website as well. So in terms of the tools, I guess, that we have to help in this with the subscription. So the first here is around software integration. So I'm going to jump over and I'll go in and out here between the platform and the slides here. But one of the things you can see with our new platform here is that when you go into a particular order form, any of the orders that you now do on our new platform enables you to connect to your SMSF software from within the form. So you can see here, we have our class integration, our BGL Simple Fund 360 integration, and our SuperMate integration. It lets you choose. It will allow you to connect and disconnect, reset connections and the like here. But most importantly, you have the ability straight from within the relevant form to enable you to utilize the data that you have within your SMSF software. Now, when it comes to other features that we've now built within the Smarter SMSF platform, there are two key other aspects that we've introduced. One is our CSV import function. So it allows you, where we're not looking at maybe our SMSF software data, but we're wanting to use data from another platform, might be Xplan, it might be Xero, you now have that capacity to export data and then bring that in through the CSV import. So the other brilliant part to this is that it will allow you to do things like deed upgrades on a multi-fund level. So you could, for example, export 10 records out of your SMSF software, put it into CSV format, and then actually map that into the CSV import function. And therefore it will allow you to go in and complete each of those orders. It will in essence create 10 saved orders in this instance. So you can see here, you can choose your template. You'll then import your file, and you've got a range of the templates that are available for you here that you would set up for the first time, and then you're utilizing on an ongoing basis. So I'm not going to spend time today, I guess, looking at the specifics of this, but just wanting to make you aware there are a range of tools that we actually do have available for you here. And that also includes with our workflows, where we're spending a lot of time looking at designing workflows that enable you to move data from one form to another form to another form. So in this instance here, it may be that we're doing a change of trustee. So we're moving from individual trustees into a corporate trustee, and then we need to prepare that change of trustee document as well after the company, and we may look to be doing that upgrade as well. So the data from each of those forms will seamlessly work their way through, so you're not having to recreate the process each and every time. So these are just some of the features that we're now working on to deliver a far more efficient and seamless way of allowing you to order your different SMSF documents. So these are some of the tools that we're putting together to be able to support you. Now, the other side of the journey here, of course, is what we call the proactive pathway to subscription. And with this one, what we see, and unfortunately we haven't got David here.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Excellent. Welcome back.
It's Plan B, Ferrari. Okay.
Very good. Excellent. So David, I might get you just to have a bit of a conversation here, because this is a common thing that you're talking to users about in terms of the fact that they might sign up on the platform, and then as they go along, they order a document, and they might order another one, and they might have a couple of questions, and then they might order a couple more. And then this starts a journey where you have the conversation with them and go, well, look, you've ordered this many, how many, what else have you got on your plate? And this is what a subscription might actually look like.
That's right. So as Aaron's just pointed out there, they've started using our platform and their documents. They've arrived at it, via another event, found our website, pay as you go, engage with us to get a login, making sure that you're actually I'm actually sending now welcome packs to people when they start this journey. So A, they've got their login, B, they've got their email confirmed, so they get ongoing communication. And in filling out the form on the website, some people actually identify the type of additional software that they have completed or use, which is important. So I can actually put in the back of the system that they are using their third-party accounting software. And as we've just seen on that previous screen, the integration process with other software providers in populating data into the documents. So that's all a part of the initial engagement piece. And then ongoing, I'll monitor activity of document orders month by month. And last week alone, 2 people have triggered off a point of analysis that they've spent, either they're a sole practitioner or a large corporate business with lots of users, and they don't really track internally the amount of documents they're ordering over 6-12 months period, and also the dollar amount they're spending. So I'll do a bit of an analysis, reach out and say, hey, did you realize that a subscription is a better economic option based on the document volume, the type of documents, and the dollar spent? And that's when we get into a deeper discussion about that.
Yeah, so maybe go through the actual case study here, David, to explain what that discussion looks like that you're having with people as well.
That's right. So Roy here kicked off a PAYG, signed up, started ordering documents from August last year, and over a 9-month period, he's ordered 18 documents. Looking at the average spend that Roy has paid on each of those documents, it was $187. And he doesn't know that he's ordering all different types of documents from our platform, and there's different costs associated with particular documents, but the average was 187. So I'll reach out to Roy and say, did you realize you've spent a total of X, which is greater than the subscription amount of 25 pack, for example? Yep. And this is an analysis I've upset Roy, and you can see here, he's ordered 18. He's actually spent to date $3,370, an average of 187, and with a subscription, he's already got an additional 7 documents to be able to utilize. But if he was using that pay-as-you-go average price, a further 7 documents would additionally cost another $1,300 odd. So total spend to reach a subscription equivalent of 25 documents was $4,680. So looking at the analysis of a subscription of 25, let's say he goes annually at $1,800, he's already got a saving of, $2,881.
Yeah, and that's, David, where I was saying earlier about the fact that I guess people can get so wedded on I've got to use all the documents, or what happens if I lose them and whatever. It's really understanding where the break even is, and therefore working to that number, and anything above is an advantage. And I think the way in which firms approach call it the disbursement of either the pay-as-you-go cost or the subscription cost is quite fascinating to hear, where people say, oh, yeah, no, I'm not going to worry about, I'm just, anything that I pay, I disperse it to my client. Well, that's fine. But if they're going to be dispersing $187 all the time, we have other firms where we've changed the psychology of it entirely, where they go, well, I'm paying I'll use it quite simple. I'm paying create 50, I create 100 and it's $5,000. I've got 100 clients. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disperse $50 to every client. And then any work that I do throughout the year for any of those clients, once I've put that disbursement on, anything that I charge that's covered that or more is basically then profit for me and the organization. So it's the approach that people take to this that we find quite fascinating. Some people you can't change. They're just like, no, I'm happy to do it. I don't care. But there are others that have, the penny's really dropped here, and they go, well, yeah, there's a way in which I can disperse this across all my clients. And there will be points in time where every single client that we've got is going to need a particular document. And therefore that is the best way to do it. And once we've absorb that cost, in essence, across all those clients, or amortized it, whatever we do for particular clients is, in essence, going to be a far more profitable outcome for the organization.
And don't forget, this is a pay-as-you-go scenario. So this is the benefits of a document subscription brings all of this into the subscription itself. And we'll soon see a orders console. So if you've got either yourself or multiple staff members, you can track then who is ordering what type of document, how many have produced, and also the dashboard counter that then activates in your subscription. So if you've got to create 25, it will give you 25 documents to use over the 12 months. So straight away, you've got full control and knowledge about what documents, how many you've got left, and that's when we have other discussions that get lead on from there, where, well, I've got leftover documents. Now I can do other things that I haven't thought of. I've come here with a purpose to order a particular document, but found now in the library there's a number of others will be very useful, because I've come across client scenarios that now I can engage with.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see on here, so within our documents platform, we have our user console here, and that takes you into this area. And under our usage report, you can see across the various subscriptions that we have. But in here, we can see the pack that is relevant to us, the documents that have been created, and then the breakdown of the different users within that subscription, noting that there are what we have as our parent and child structures. So anyone that is a parent here, in essence, has access to be able to view this, and most importantly, control the actual order history. So in this instance here, with me, I will be able to click into another user and see the saved orders that they have. So David here might be only doing it to an extent. I don't want him to sign off on that document or prepare the document. I want to review it before it's submitted, so I can do that from there. But equally, I can go in and say, well, David produced this the other day. David's not around, and therefore I want to be able to come in and actually download that document. Well, again, I can do that from here as well. So this user console area provides you with the ability to see who is linked to it. We're doing more work on being able to control the users to be added and removed out of this process. But most importantly, you then have visibility over who the users are and the number of documents that they have ordered. But also, it will allow you to look at and break down what documents are being done by who, and the time frames that relate to those as well. So you'll be able to see who's doing what and what documents are actually getting ordered more than others as well.
And there's two things there, Aaron. Being able with the ability that if someone does leave the firm, that you can actually move the completed orders to another user. So therefore, you've got the ability to look up historical information, and it's evolving. This whole thing's evolving. It's all feedback from our subscribers who are looking at further developing. You know, I want to be able to look at XYZ by somebody else. So we're like, great idea. Let's build that out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's move ourselves back again to our slides, and I guess get some further insights from our members. So as I've touched on already, the economics, it is about the economics for you. It's about saving time, saving money. So there is a benefit over a period that drops your average cost. And as I said before, it's about getting that break-even point and then looking to use the surplus documents if you can, creating more opportunities within your SMSF client base. It's that overcoming of the disbursement syndrome that we said, and how our members are doing this, and ultimately the benefits that happen inside the practice. The fact that you've got visibility over your subscriptions, as we just showed you, and we will get in contact with you as you get closer to that counter limit, and having a conversation about, well, you know, you're a couple of months away from the anniversary of your subscription. So do you want to top up? Do you want to just convert back to PAYG? These are all things that will have that ongoing discussion for you. And if it is that you want to upgrade, well, then there's a simple process to be able to make that upgrade, whether it's from 25 to 50 or 50 to 100, or even on a Create Plus, where we've had firms that are on 600 and 700 and 800 documents, and being able to just easily top up another 100 here or 200 there. The fact that you can link all your team members, as David was just talking about, and having that level of control with that parent and child structure to ensure that you can see and have that visibility within your organization as well. So from our subscriptions and platform, again, just wanted to highlight here a little bit about our platform if you don't know a lot about the functionality and what it does. Naturally, we have a strong element in two key things. One is specialization. We know we're good at SMSFs, and that's what we focus on. And then it's how we can utilize automation to be able to deliver that to you as quickly and efficiently and effectively as possible. So it does come back to saving time and ultimately saving money. Our technology stack is in essence hosted on Amazon Web Services. So our data is hosted and stored in Sydney. We do have things like that primary and secondary user functionality that we spoke about. We do have SSL certificates across orders where you pay by credit card, whether it is via subscription, whether you are needing to pay with company orders where you have your ASIC fees and the admin fees that go with that. There is inbuilt processes around the delivery of those orders. You get information in respect to the order. So you can check the information on what you submitted to the order that's actually generated. You'll get other confirmations when the order, I should say, has been delivered. You'll not only see it in your completed orders, but you will also have access to it as it will be emailed to you. For a member, you have the ability to save orders as you go through, and in some instances, you'll be able to reset an order because you've found a mistake in respect to that particular order as well. We have tooltips as well in there to help you identify different things. And in addition to the tooltips, we now also have AI running across our new document platform as well. So I might just duck back into here. So if I go to our deed upgrade here, so some of those things that we were talking about, in addition to the information you can see at the top here, you will see these different tooltips that we have in here. So the particular rule that it might relate to, or what is a QROP, for example. But equally here, we have the ability for you to ask questions of the AI as well. So, you know, can you explain what QROPS is? And that will just give you some insight to help actually answer the question. So it'll be looking at that particular document, and it will explain some of the relevant conditions there as to whether you should or shouldn't select it to be a QROPS deed. Okay. And then the other thing here was about our legal review as well. So yes, you might be ordering documents, a deed upgrade in this instance, but you want to have that legal sign-off sitting behind this, the protection of the fact that a solicitor has looked over this document. So you can do that here. You can choose the level of legal review. So we do have some information here that allows you to download that legal review document. The variances in price ultimately depend on the number of upgrades that have historically happened in the past. It allows you to upload the file. It allows you to give us some additional information about it. There's some acknowledgements in that process. And there is an entire process that we have around the legal review ordinarily. And we recently ran a webinar. So you can go onto the site, onto our website, and find out more under the legal review section. So if you go to documents and Smarter Legal Review there, you'll see all the relevant information about that, including the webinar that we held recently between myself and Chris Hill. So again, a number of those features that we have available in there that you get the benefit of utilizing as part of being a member. The other one here is the fact that we have a full ticketing system to ensure that your questions and responses that you need are adequately dealt with by the team. Could be me, David, could be any one of us. I guess that's the basis for having that ticketing system there. And finally, having a knowledge base so that you can go away and look up things. You might want to be able to find a sample document of the deed, for example. You can go in and you can look at the sample of the SMSF trust deed here, Smarter SMSF deed. You could also, for example, go in and look at and try and understand something about, an integration. So whether it's a SuperMate integration, which you can go and see different webinar detail, whether you want to go in and look at the different ways in which document orders. And I know, David, you've built a whole range of user guides in here as well to help people, whether it's in the courses, whether it's to set up multi-factor authentication, whether it's to access the orders console, so on and so forth.
Yeah, even the other day, updating the credit card for renewal when the credit card is expired. So they don't want to stop ordering docs as ongoing projects, etc. So whenever there's a need for something, we'll create it.
Yeah, and finally, we do as a API provider within the marketplace for both BGL, Class, and SuperMate. So we are subject to their various security standards and annual questionnaires for compliance with the ATO's digital service provider operational framework. So we do go through, and we're actually going through it as we speak at the moment, some fairly robust penetration testing. And also, I guess, around our procedures in terms of integrity of client data and all those sorts of things as well. So it's a bit of a snapshot in terms of the member benefits with ordering documents. The main ones you can see here that come out as a difference is the fact that you can really work through processes within your organization. So by that, saving orders, so the fact that it can be picked up by another user, in particular a manager, to be able to review that where you don't in the pay-as-you-go basis. The fact that that can then be completed by different parties within that subscription versus the fact that it needs to be just done by credit card and you move on. The subscription naturally uses a counter to deduct that off the level of available documents that you actually have. When it comes to access to those completed orders that have been done at an organizational level, anyone within the organization that has the relevant parent permission will be able to access that. So you can have more than one parent that has access to it, but very distinct and different to a pay-as-you-go user. It is simply that person that logs in is the one that has access to those particular documents. And multi-factor authentication will ordinarily put a few roadblocks on the ability to share that login amongst the team unless you actually have that multi-factor authentication to be able to pass around to those different parties within the organization. The other one around the resetting, that can be done with members, obviously with companies that can't, where that's been submitted to ASIC already. That obligation or opportunity doesn't exist for pay-as-you-go. And as part of the membership, if there are some manual adjustments that need to be made, a common one is, say, with a deed upgrade, but there's an enduring power of attorney, for example, we will look to update the relevant clauses or the signing party areas, I guess probably the more relevant thing to say there as part of your subscription. So we're happy to to do that. We do have a number of standard templates that allow us to do that. Versus if it's pay as you go, then there would be an additional fee for those things to actually occur. So you can see there are clearly some additional perks there to a subscription as opposed to ordering on a pay-as-you-go basis. And then in terms of what else we've been working on, well, I guess there are a range of changes. We've shown you a little bit about that user console. You will have seen on that document order page. We are working through the rollout of our new document platform. We've got our ABN and TFN, which is fairly extensively used as part of our SMSF establishments. And we're continuing to update and upgrade forms as legislation's changing, whether it's improvements to things like our pension commencement, which allows you to start and do multi-steps in terms of with unknown balances or with balances, the fact that with deed upgrades, you can include additional parties like employer sponsors or founders and so forth. And anytime we do make these changes, you have access through the knowledge base to the different communication as to what those changes are and why they have actually been made, most importantly as well. In terms of the subscriptions, you can see there, as David had indicated from the beginning, our packages start at 25 per annum and work their way through to, in essence, a Create 250. For those that need more than that, we now have our Create Plus, where we will, in essence, provide you with a quote for that to work, a fully tailored solution, because that not only is the number of documents, but it might also include that you want to build in your own customized cover pages, for example, is a common one that we see there. So there may need to be some bespoke work that is done in that regard. So again, just making yourself aware of the different price points. And it should be noted that these packages are available at this price until 30 June, and then there will be a price increase that will be occurring for all new subscriptions. So it does provide you with an opportunity to lock in that current pricing now for the next 12 months. And with our existing clients, there is going to be no change to that subscription. As I said, at the 1st of July, there was a previous price increase that we had for existing subscribers just less than 12 months ago. So David, maybe I'll hand over to you here just to, I guess, answer a few FAQs that we have on the screen here, both, I guess, in terms of getting started, but then on an ongoing basis as people sort of move into the benefits of what the ongoing subscription will provide.
That's right. So with the sample documents, where that's located, there is obviously a document we've put together, a help guide to get you navigated around the system and also to find the sample documents. That's always emailed out to those who join with the PAYG or obviously a subscription. And can we purchase another package if we use up the quota? That's a very interesting question, because if you use 25 documents, we'll examine the time frame to the next anniversary, if it's 6 months or closer. Do we purchase another amount of the same document quota number, or do we increase it? It depends on a discussion about what type of documents are to be used and what type of time frame remaining. So as an example, we had a business with 100 documents, 3 months left on the subscription. They've used them all up. They only needed a further 38, so we topped them up with a 50 pack. And in fact, because they were renewing at the end of that 3 months with another 100 documents, we carried over the 12, for example. So we're pretty flexible on the subscription amounts and the numbers if you're using the quotas up within the subscription period.
Yep.
Technical support, yes, indeed. In fact, something that Aaron's just released only probably about 2 weeks ago, in fact, on the support to existing subscribers for documents. Do you want to elaborate a bit further on that?
Yeah, so we're about to roll out a structured ticketed technical support service. So rather than it being a subscription, you'll be able to access the number of tickets that you want to buy. So it will allow you to make that request around the technical support issue that you need. It will be answered by Tim, myself, or so on. And you'll be able to track those responses like we do with all of our other tickets ordinarily, but we have a designated or dedicated channel that will deal with that. So you'll see more about that coming out over the next week or so. We did announce that, as David said, in about the past fortnight.
Yeah, contacting us through a number of email channels. It's a support area which is important that people have got my details and they'll come to me direct. But if it's something urgent, I encourage them to go to the support section to create a support ticket, as it can be triaged through a number of us looking into the tickets to be able to get back to you in time. And lodgements recently of last week was no exception to that rule. I guess that's with the further work on integrations, something that with that typo was quite I had a number of calls from subscribers who've said, look, I've already ordered a document, I've made a typo, I'm ready to hit submit on another document. And I said, well, don't do that. Save where you are, go back to the completed order and reset the document, so you can actually go through and reset that to adjust the change, other than Aaron's already pointed out, a company order. So that's another benefit of a subscription. For the ongoing, we mentioned about the dashboard counter. We've seen the orders console. People can come to me directly, or I'll find through a bit of analysis through their ordering, even up for renewal of existing subscribers. I'll have a quick look at who's ordering, how many, have they in essence got enough documents, is at the right subscription they're currently on. So there's ongoing monitoring and discussion about that. We've already seen the orders console and myself to add or remove staff members. So yeah, it's important that historical information is accessed through a business. And the ongoing benefit of documents being added, there's our ongoing newsletters that are coming out monthly with updates to what's taking place on the platform and documents, and also the quarterly updates as well.
Yeah, that was the one I was going to say, David, is every quarter I do run a webinar where we share what we've been adding and what we've been updating on the platform. So you'll always have access through a quarterly session as to what's going on within the team, because we've got 4 developers plus myself and Tim and David and others, actively working on a whole range of things across the Smarter SMSF business, that there needs to be a succinct way in which we can come back and communicate with you about what's changing and what's the reason why we've changed, or a new document, or what's being added as a feature. So we're continually keeping you up to date through not only those quarterly sessions, but other things that we believe warrant a particular news item or a webinar itself, like we did with the Smarter Legal Review. Again, these are all things that our members are requesting of us. And in most instances, if we don't get the feedback from you about bugs, the challenges you got in your business and so forth, then it doesn't allow us to really think about the way in which we can build solutions and build an even better product that will be available for you to use as well. And I think that final one there is our deed automation service. It's been going for a while, but we were originally looking at it as a standalone subscription, whereas the comment was, well, actually, if we've got a document counter, why wouldn't we just be able to have it deducted off that? So you're simplifying the product, and until you're having conversations with people about those things, you don't actually realize that actually makes a hell of a lot more sense. And why are we actually going down the path of setting up a different product to be able to accommodate a new service that we're adding it actually into our product suite, or adding a product into the product suite, and it can actually tie in seamlessly with the existing structure of the way in which we provide our subscriptions ordinarily right now. So yeah, getting feedback from our clients we see as absolutely imperative, and really a core to why I use the concept Smarter Together, because it is all about doing things together that allow us to create things that are of most value to you, so that you can focus on what you do best. So I guess in summary, why do people choose Smarter SMSF in respect to documents and as a subscription, as we've really highlighted for you here today? What is the fact that we are obviously well-known, trusted, award-winning in our SMSF industry. That comes with a high level of expertise, knowledge, insight that not many others have that come with the expertise in the SMSF sector. But it doesn't happen without being able to provide timely support, working through the questions, the issues, whether it's pre-ordering, post-ordering, all about saving you time and money. And then from there, once you've identified all of those things, it's making sure that that subscription suits what you need. Whatever stage of the journey that you're at, it needs to be competitive, it needs to be economical, and enables you to, again, focus on what you do best. And we know what we stand for as an organization is we're here to support professionals working in this sector, complying with the complexities of what SMSFs do. And that's why with our purpose statement, you can see there, it's done through technology, but it's tapping into the specialization that we have and apply that not only to our documentation, but our education. And we can do that through then these cost-effective subscriptions to suit the size of your business, or simply if you want to allow you to pay as you go. So hopefully that's given you a bit of insight today about why we see benefits of the document subscriptions. If you do have any other questions, David, who's been on to join me today, is more than happy to have a conversation with you. You'll get a copy of these slides after today. So you've got his email and phone number as well. To you, David, thank you for joining us today.
Yep. Lucky we can back on.
Yep, all good. Yes. So we do have a number of other events coming up, including tomorrow. I'm back again to look at the 7 must-haves in your deed. So kind of a continuation, a little bit of today in terms of if you are looking at upgrades, maybe through a document subscription where you can find out a little bit more why people are choosing the Smarter SMSF deed and some of those key areas that we see stand out in the marketplace. Tim and I also have our next SMSF masterclass that's scheduled for the 4th of June. We're looking at property and LRBAs, quarterly technical update, changing face of SMSF. And in the last week of June, we have our integrations week where we showcase all of our integrations that we have with Class, with BGL, with SuperMate, and across our fund establishment process with our ABN and our ASIC integrations as well. So thank you once again for joining us. We have recorded this and we will upload it onto our YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you go and have a look. It includes not only these sort of product sessions, but also includes things like our weekly Feeling Smarter video. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and keep up to date as and when we upload any of these sessions. Other than that, thanks again, David, and everyone that's joined us. Have a great rest of the day, and bye for now.